All right, I'm going to talk really quickly about some ideas you could use for improvising over this backing track. Now, this is fairly tricky because it has this quintuplet swing feel, so groups of 5, and it's tricky rhythmically, and also the chords are a little ambiguous, so figuring out exactly what to play can be a little tough, but I'll try to break it down into some simple ideas that might help you. I want to do more of these backing track videos. I'll probably do one a month that goes along with my main Prog School lessons, because I think there's not a lot of great backing tracks out there for prog, things that have odd grooves and some interesting chords. So kind of a challenging thing to improvise over, and I didn't even really do that great of a job myself, I don't think. There's probably a lot of you that could do better than me. So if you want to give this backing track a go, please do and share with me what you can do. But I think I have some ideas that worked out fairly well for dealing with this chord progression. So let's take a look at it. And there's really only 2 parts to this backing track. It's like an AAB form. So with each section being 16 bars, 32 bars, depending on how you're feeling the groove. But the A section is pretty easy. It's just these 2 chords back to back. It's B flat 6-9 and then G 6-9. That just goes back and forth. Now in the second A section and also the 4th A section, you get those 2 chords, and then the second time you get B flat 6-9 and then this chord, but I put it E on the bass instead. Same chord, just changing the root note. So for there you get B flat 6-9, G 6-9, B flat 6-9, and then this E. I call it E minor 11 without a 5th. Maybe not the best way to describe it, but that's kind of how I'm thinking about it. For this whole section, there's a couple things you could do. I'd probably just stick first off with playing just an F major scale, because these sounds are really like a B flat Lydian, and this is like G Dorian. So if I play this intro here at the beginning, or the beginning of this, you can just play an F major scale over the whole thing. I'm just running up the scale, and it works pretty well. Little chromatic note in there. But that will work perfectly over all the A sections if you want to just play F major scale. Or you could think of it as B flat Lydian. You know, I'm trying to target those chord tones when I can, or the root notes, to make sure it sounds like I'm following the chord changes. But there are a couple of pentatonic things you can do with this as well. Over this first chord, B flat 6-9, you could just do B flat major pentatonic or G minor pentatonic. That'll work just well. That works great, and I use a lot of those pentatonic ideas in my improv at the beginning, especially in the faster parts towards the end. There were some faster pentatonic sort of lines. That'll work perfectly over that chord. And then you could do that over the G 6-9 as well. You could just stay in your B flat major pentatonic. For this G 6-9, there's the notes E and A. So try to hit some of those as well. Maybe do more of a Dorian sound there. So you could do like B flat major pentatonic, and then introduce that E and A more when that G 6-9 chord happens. There's alternate things you could do as well. I do a lot of chromatic passing tones, filling in. And you could do other pentatonics. You could do an A minor pentatonic or a D minor pentatonic. Both of those would work pretty well. See how those sound. So here's D minor pentatonic. That works great. And you also do A minor pentatonic. Now I might do the A minor just in certain spots, like specifically over the G 6-9 chord, but it can work there as well. So that's what I'm thinking harmonically there. And then the B section is where it completely changes keys. What we get is it goes to F sharp minor pretty much for the most part. So it's like F sharp minor 11, and then a G major 7 sharp 11. Then this top chord stays the same, but the root note changes to A, so you get like A 6-9, and then a B sus 9. So a B, just really root 5th and 9th on that. And then those chords repeat again. very last time. Goes from B sus9 to like a C major. It's really just a tritone chord, so C, F sharp, C. You could think of it as C major 7 sharp 11, kind of how I'm approaching it, which would be like a C Lydian sound. So over all of that, except for that last C chord, you could just use F sharp minor pentatonic. So if you're using G minor pentatonic over the A sections, or B flat major pentatonic, here you could jump to just using F sharp minor pentatonic, which is 1 half step down. So if we listen to this section, I'm just going to play F sharp minor pentatonic. That works super well, and is an easy way to kind of get across all those chord changes. If you wanted to do a little bit more, kind of what was working for my ear was to do F sharp natural minor over the first chord. So you get that G sharp in there. And then over the second chord, because that's a G major 7 sharp 11, I do like G Lydian, or if you're thinking based off F sharp, like F sharp Phrygian. And then back to just straight up F sharp natural minor or A major, depending on what you think about this chord. And that works for the next chord as well. So where those G chords are happening, I would try to introduce the note G, and on the other chords I'm doing the note G sharp. And that tends to work pretty well as well. So let's maybe hear a little bit of that. So I'm going to focus on hitting the G sharp and the G's where these chords change. G sharp. So I'm going back and forth between hitting a G sharp and hitting a G to highlight those chord changes a little bit. And as with all the stuff like I did in the A sections, lots of chromatic passing tones and more fusion-esque ideas. One other main thing to think about when you're doing soloing over this is that all these chords are really kind of chordal chords. So they're stacks of fourths. Like there's voicing on the guitar, 5th fret D string, 5th fret G string, 6th fret B string, 6th fret E string. That's our first chord. And that's all just fourths. An interval of a fourth between the first two, second two, and third two. And so you have this open sound of these fourths because it's not a traditional harmony that would have a triads, which would be stacked on thirds. So when I'm soloing, I'm thinking about that kind of stuff as well, playing bigger intervals of a fourth. So you can use the B flat major pentatonic over all this stuff in the A section, but if I try to focus on doing bigger intervals, so instead of just playing the scale straight up, I would do something where maybe I'll jump a note. So like I'm skipping notes in the pentatonic. To get these wider sounds, using the pentatonic as more of an open sound than just your traditional blues ideas. So I'll do a little bit of that over this first section. So you get the idea that having those bigger intervals fits a lot more with the harmony that's happening underneath. And kind of combining all these different ideas, I think you can come up with a harmonic way to solo over this that sounds pretty good. Now let's talk about the rhythm on this, which is extra tricky. And we have this 5/8 quintuplet swing. So really it's a group of 3 and then a group of 2. 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 3 1 2. But really it's more like a swing feel that's a little drunk. So it's like da 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 da. So if I want to play eighth notes here in the quintuplet swing feel, I'm going to hit those accents. And I can just kind of play a scale doing that. I'll just do the pentatonic scale with that rhythm. Right? that's kind of the idea. If I wanted to do this slower feel, is that I'm going to try to hit where those beats are happening. Alternately, you could do, I guess, well, at this tempo would be considered eighth notes. Sorry, I said the last thing with was eighth notes, but that's kind of the eighth note feel within the beat. And this would be to actually play every single note of that 5 grouping. So it's a quintuplet swing. There's 5 notes in quintuplets. So you can play 5 different notes. So I'm just going to play an F major scale. This is kind of what I did earlier. And I'm just going to play really 5 notes per beat to catch that quintuplet swing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that. I'm just going to play it. So that is a really effective way, if you're doing faster lines, to play over this, is to just play those quintuplets when you can. And in my improv, there was some of that. And it is really tricky to feel the quintuplets, and it has been for me. You know, I should spend some more time practicing this to really get good at improvising over it, but the feeling of grouping things in 5 is really tricky. So what I might recommend is choosing a few licks that you can throw in that are specifically built off of groups of 5. So maybe I'll do a pentatonic, like the Eric Johnson classic pentatonic riff. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you're not familiar with that, there's lots of lessons on how to play that. I'll put that on the screen. And usually how that would be done is as straight 16th notes, so it's kind of cycling around the beat in a weird way if you're playing in 4/4. But here I can take that particular lick and use it to stay with the beat, right? Because it's 5-note patterns. So let me try that. That works. That works perfectly, right? I mean, it kind of catches the rhythm, and I've got all the right notes. Similarly, I could do maybe I'll just do a couple patterns, other 5-note patterns here. Here's another pentatonic idea. It's just one that works up on 2 strings, and that would sound like this with the backing track. So playing fast over this can be tricky to do in time. I mean, there's definitely a way where you could play maybe 10 notes per beat and double up on the 5s. But for me, I'm focusing more on either locking into that feeling of 5 if I want to stay in time, and if I want to get faster, I'm just going to kind of float over the beat. So there's some examples for soloing over that. And if you guys want to do a couple takes at this and send me some videos, I'm sure there's a bunch of people that can do this way better than I could. But I had a fun time kind of trying to work out how to solo over this backing track, and I think there's a lot to dig into for you guys as well. So if you enjoyed that, like, share, do all that stuff. And as always, stay proggy.